Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
This week's big question is, what is a band or musical artist that you first dismissed, but later in life came to respect and admire? What was it about them, her, him that might have turned you off when you first heard them, her, him? And what caused you to reconsider? My answer to the big question is Talk Talk. They're a synth pop band from the 80s. I would have probably first heard them either through MTV or the radio, or both, in the early 80s. 1984, they had a huge hit, at least in the United States, called It's My Life. It was from their second album. I don't remember hearing their first album, but they also had a single from that called Talk Talk.
I remember the video for that when it would come on. It was like talk, 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 talk.
So I probably did hear that too, but it didn't.
Directed by Talk Talk.
Yeah, I kind of do remember seeing that, but I think the song "It's My Life" is the one that sticks in my head like an earworm. I didn't like it. I didn't like Talk. They had another song a couple years later that I also saw on MTV, maybe too many times. Life's What You Make It. Not a synth pop, more guitar driven, but still, it didn't strike me right. I kind of categorize them as a Duran Duran kind of band, synth pop hits.
Double word name.
Double word name band. I don't know how many other bands are like that.
Talk Talk is also a character in Barbarella.
Oh.
No, I'm lying. I said I'm gonna lie.
You're lying. Oh, like Saran.
Duran Talk.
Duran Talk should be a band.
It's got to be Duran Talk.
Yeah.
So I kind of dismissed them, and I don't remember ever thinking about them again until Rodney started ranting on stage, like in a sound check, about Talk Talk, the song Talk Talk by the band Talk Talk.
It's also on the new album, by the way. There's a reference to Talk Talk.
Right. I was going to say that.
Yeah. Way to ruin the new album
may recognize that as a song lyric in a Dead Milkmen song that was released last year.
Oh, we did release
that on a compilation album. So I guess you can hear that now. But why did I change my mind? When did I change my mind? Not too long ago, I was reading something about the band Radiohead. It might have been Enemy. I can't even remember the source, but they mentioned that they compared Radiohead's Kid A comeback, or whatever you call that, transformation, to the band Talk Talk and Mark Hollis. Mm-hmm. I know Rodney's going like,
Radiohead suck ass. let's just come right out and say it. Radiohead are like one of the worst bands.
Well, I guess this author was saying that it wouldn't, Then I started reading more about them. I read Mark Hollis's obituary. He died in early 2019. And I became intrigued because the more I read about him, the more I realized Talk Talk is a band that changed course dramatically in the middle of their career, after they had probably their hugest hit, their third album, The Color of Spring, and sort of faded into obscurity. But critics say that they single-handedly, or along with the band Slint, created the genre post-rock. So that intrigued me, and I wanted to understand what I was missing. So I went out and found used copies of their last two CDs, which I listened to and was terribly impressed to find that they're very good. It's very good music. And I can see why people say that it's a precursor to like that Kid A amnesiac period of Radiohead's time, which Rodney is.
The only time you should use Talk Talk and Radiohead in the same sentence is, I was listening to Talk Talk when I left an upper decker in Tom York from Radiohead's toilet. That is the only time. Radiohead are one of those bands that was sold on hype, and my God, did idiots line up for that. They are just awful. I'm sorry, but it needs to be said. You can't say anything's terrible anymore. You got to say, well, it's not my cup of tea, or it's not, yeah. But
I'm explaining why I like Talk Talk now.
Talk Talk are a fantastic band.
And also, I think my tastes have changed because I wouldn't have, even if I listened to these in 88 and 91 when they came out, I probably would have thought they were boring prog rock kind of stuff.
I think you would have liked
kind of proggy, but I think my tastes have changed to accept this, and it's really beautiful, wonderful music. That's my answer.
I think you would still like them. I think if you heard them then, I think it was.
They just didn't cross my path at all.
Yeah,
I'll segue out of that by saying I was like maybe 10 or something when that came out. I didn't like it, but I listened to it after hearing and subsequently hating the No Doubt version of the song. I was like, let me listen to the original. I was like, you know what? This is way better. So I appreciate that.
Wait. No Doubt. I didn't know this. No Doubt covered Talk Talk.
It's My Life.
It's My Life. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. That's what I meant.
You certainly have heard it somehow. Probably
if you've been into a grocery store in the last 5 or 10 years, you've heard it.
That's like saying, Citizen Kane's a good film, but let's see what Adam Sandler can do with it. And then I left an upper decker in Tom York's toilet.
All right, so I had to think about this one, and it was tough, but I figured it out. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, a friend of mine in the neighborhood, this kid, was like, man, you got to listen to this Bob Dylan album. And I was like, okay. And at this point, I was like learning piano, like other music. I was just kind of, So he played, I think it was the Blonde on Blonde album, because I remember first I thought, what a shitty photograph for the cover. It's blurry and I don't know what's going on here. And why are there 2 records here? And then he played, I think it was Just Like a Woman. And I remember thinking it was the most boring thing I'd ever heard. And he loved it. He just raved about it. And I don't know, for some reason that put me off. And for the longest time, anytime I heard anybody talk about Bob Dylan, or I heard snippets of his songs, I was like, nah, and I just tuned it out. Then I was like, maybe I should listen. And his catalog was overwhelming. I was like, I don't even know where to start. But it was, I don't know what year that came out, but Joe, you had a documentary by, I think it was Martin Scorsese, about Bob Dylan, right?
It's called No Direction Home, yeah.
Yeah. We watched it at your place in Manayunk. It's probably 2006 or 5. And I was like, you know what, I'll watch this. And when it came to the footage of him with the band at the Royal Albert Hall footage, I was like, holy shit, that's badass. And then I was like, you know what, let me listen to Bob Dylan stuff through that lens. And I actually appreciate a lot of his stuff. Some of it, not so much, but I think I dismissed him as a kid, thinking he was, his voice was sounded like crap. My mom listened to Anne Murray, and ABBA, and my dad listened to Donovan and Leonard Cohen and stuff. Not that he's any better with his but yeah, it's funny, that kid was this guy named Adam Arkaraji, who ended up being a singer-songwriter who had some mild success, I think.
Yeah. But that's funny you say that, because that's what that bootleg 1966 bootleg or whatever of the Albert Hall show. That's what kind of turned it around a little bit for me, for Dylan as well.
Oh yeah.
You can just tell the tension in that room right there.
Yeah.
You could tell things were uncomfortable. So
plus, one of the best things about that is the sound of the drums throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And I think it's that guy who was a biker guy in every movie in the 80s. I think his name's Mickey Hart or something. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
That's the drummer. No. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to. I want to say we'll have.
I've seen a lot of biker
films. The guy's name is.
Side Hackers. No.
Side Hacker. It's oh God, what's the name? Why am I blanking on the name of the guy from Side Hackers? Side Hacking. It's a Wild Batch.
So you don't know what I'm talking about? The
No,
drummer?
I mean, you're saying that the drummer was the guy who was in a lot of biker movies? Wasn't it Garth Hudson? No. Garth
No,
Hudson.
no,
was-
no,
Rick Danko been the drummer.
No,
Lee Von Helm.
Yeah.
Going in.
Levon
Wasn't
Helm,
Levon
that's what I'm
Helm?
thinking of.
Lee Von Helm. Sorry, yeah.
But Lee Von Helm left, like he didn't like all the booing and stuff. He left them. But I think he did one tour with them.
Yeah, Joe's the expert on Dylan. So
I don't know.
I think
What?
if Bob Dylan's going to work with Martin Scorsese, it should be a gangster movie. Hey, why don't you go home and get your fucking shine box? All right. I'll leave you folks with that thought.
I like that. I like that.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's my.
So
So,
Bob
yeah.
Dylan, okay.
So I'm going to continue the synth pop thread that Joe started. It's probably because over the last 10, 15 years, I've gotten more interested in electronic music and synthesizers. I listen to mostly that kind of music now. Don't listen to much guitar-based rock and roll anymore. I still do from time to time, but the band I'm going to mention is Depeche Mode, who have won me over in hindsight because I think they have some really catchy songs. I really dismissed them early on. My sister was a fan in like 1981. I remember seeing, I guess it was on British TV. I think we were probably visiting England. They played New Life or something. This is a great, really catchy song. And they've had some good songs over the years, and they're a very interesting, long-lived band with a pretty interesting history. I need to go back. I think I saw it once. I need to go back and watch. And in fact, there's a new version of Depeche Mode 101 coming out in December, a re-release with some extra footage, and I guess it's been restored to 4K or whatever, which is the show they did in California at the Rose Bowl, I guess. It's a documentary. What's the guy's name?
We had it on D.A. Pennybaker.
Yeah, we used to watch on the tour bus.
We had it on the tour. Yeah, we had a VHS copy of it or something.
So that's
Did
probably
the
where it's
documentary too.
Well, it's just kind of funny. I mean, we made a joke about them on You'll Dance to Anything. And now I don't think they're so bad.
People think I hate that band because of that Depeche Mode, but
Yeah.
the thing was, I was hanging out in the club. That song is taken almost word for word. This guy was just hanging back. I was in the club. The guy was hanging back and this is when you smoke in clubs and being snarky and just wonderfully snarky. And Depeche Mode came on and goes, "Oh, Depeche Commode." And it's the same one that said, "Don't you look like Susie Sue?" And I was just like, oh my God. Just like, because you guys know, I sponge stuff up. Like a lot of our songs are stuff people have said, and I've just taken it and extrapolated upon it. And this was like a sort of a semi sort of dip in club music. And this guy was everything he was saying on, but I love Depeche Mode. I really do. I wish more people. I'm wearing a God module pin. I mean, I obviously love synths. And the fact that, but the weird thing is, all the club people got that song. They've been saying the same sort of stuff, like kind of sideways and stuff. So I've never gotten grief from goth people on that song. They love it. I'll be out in the club every now and then, and somebody will play "You'll Dance to Anything," and everybody kind of gets it. And but again, great band, Depeche Mode, particularly when you get to your Construction Time Again period, where they're experimenting with very dark music and they're sort of in the forefront of using samplers. So Ian, I concur with you 100%.
One more thing that, and I'll mention this for probably the third or fourth time on this series of videos that we've been doing. If you can find it, you got to watch Synth Britannia. It usually gets yanked from YouTube, but you might be able to find a stray snippet of it here and there. And there's a great sequence with them in it. So,
and again, my 100th time when Dean mentions that is mentioning, if you have a VPN, set your VPN for you're in the UK, and you'd be surprised the stuff you can watch on BBC.
Anyway, I'm done. That's my answer.
Okay. I'm going to say right off, because I think everybody sees this one coming. Gino Vanelli. I used to dismiss Gino Vanelli, but my God, I have listened to Mama Coco again, and I now recognize it for the work of genius that it is. That should keep the comment section going for a while. Every comment for the last couple months is about Gino Benelli and Mama Coco, including some lawsuits that I'm facing. Actually, I usually have a pretty good ear. So if I hear something that's garbage, I can recognize it as garbage. I rarely go back and say, oh, I didn't like this. Or example of my good ear, Oh, What a Lonely Boy and My Life by Mr. William Joel are the same song, only Oh, What a Lonely Boy is better because it's not written by Mr. William Joel. So I'm trying to fill up the comment section. So yeah, and so if something's really hyped, I usually, even if it's bad, you can't get me to listen to it. And it kind of goes the other way. I love the new Lingua Ignota album, even though a lot of people who praised it shouldn't be allowed to listen to music, let alone actually write about it. And if you want an example of how good my taste in music is, I do not own In the Airplane Over the Sea. I haven't owned it. I will never own it. No, I don't own anything by Death Grips. Usually if I don't like a band, if something's turned me off from them, 9 times out of 10, it's their fans. I took a long time to get into the Velvet Underground because a lot of Velvet Underground fans are really annoying. I liked a lot of people who are influenced by the Velvet Underground. I liked the Velvet Underground, but I never really sort of committed to them because a lot of their fans were just horrible. Like if I was 20 years old right now, there's no way I'd be into Joy Division because 99% of the people walking around in Joy Division shirts now are total tools. My rent is going up because of people in Joy Division shirts. So speaking of t-shirts, it was a t-shirt that put me off. And this is how long ago it's been since I've made a musical mistake, people. It was a t-shirt that put me off of this band. I think it was in 1983. We start seeing t-shirts that said, Frankie say, relax. And like I was a 20-year-old punk rocker. My friends were all 20-year-old punk rockers. So we were saying like, you can't tell me what to do. I don't know who Frankie is. Frankie can't, no one can tell me what to do unless it's Jello Biafra or Ian MacKaye. Then yes, they can tell us what to do. But no, this Frankie, and then after a while you start seeing t-shirts that said like, who gives a fuck what Frankie say? I don't give a shit what Frankie say. So I didn't pay any attention to Frankie Goes to Hollywood. May have been made worse by the fact that, like I say, the t-shirts came to America before the music did. And then what happened was that when the music came here, the very first video for Relax that they would show on MTV was weird. I mean, it was like teenage girls running up and kissing like Paul and Holly on the cheek and everything like, huh? So, but what happened was eventually the movie came out Body Double, which is Brian De Palma, which is a really good film. And Relax is in that movie. And I was watching Body Double and that song came on. I'm like, this song kicks ass. Like literally, every note, every space between every note, everything in that song is fucking awesome. That bass riff is amazing. It's just a great song, and it's an early sampler based song. It's very cleverly put together. And Holly Johnson from that band, of course, is from Liverpool, and he once said in Liverpool, like pop music is sort of drip fed into you. And he said, you just want to write good songs that you can whistle while you're on a ladder. And I thought that is terrific. So I started listening to Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And I just want to say there's 2 Tribes. And I'll be in a club every now and then. And 2 Tribes will come on. I have to hit the floor if 2 Tribes comes on. 2 people, if you do remix 2 Tribes or cover 2 Tribes. 2 Tribes is a fucking awesome song. The video's incredible. It's really, really good. And then the song, which is, I believe it's Power of Love. Power of Love is really, really good. They did a very smart thing. They said, we're going to do 3 songs that are going to be hits. It's going to be sex, war, and love. And they're very, very, very good songs. I even like when the second album came out, there's a song called Warriors of the Wasteland. And to think like this is a band I dismissed because I hated their t-shirts. It's very, very odd. I still love them. Like I say, Holly Johnson, who fronts the band, had been in a band called Big in Japan. And in that band with him was Bill Drummond from the KLF. So you think about your heroes, think about your Bob Dylans and stuff. Bob Dylan was never in a band with Bill Drummond. No. All right. I'm just telling you, Holly's awesome. So kids, make sure you tell, by the way, one thing I forgot, and I just spotted it over my notes. In 1985, they released a Frankie Goes to Hollywood video game. If you have that video game, or you have any way to move that over to like a computer video game, please send it. That's a game I really, really want to play. So yeah, kids, tell your folks, say, Mom and Dad, you can send me to military school, but it doesn't change the fact that Frankie Goes to Hollywood rocks.
Is the game like Frankie walking around, like making people relax?
I have a lot of questions about it. I've seen like the little 8-bit version of Relax, or heard it that it includes. And I think it's probably better than the Journey video game where Dean used to kill all the members of Journey when he would play that. I don't know. You know what? I don't want to investigate it too much, because in my head is the Frankie Goes to Hollywood game. And it is probably not what they made, but I would love to. If I can get, it's got to be out on the web. I didn't look into it too much. Somebody had to do a playthrough of it at one point, because all those old console games made a comeback, and somebody had to find the Frankie Goes to Hollywood game. I'm just glad it exists. I'm glad Frankie Goes to Hollywood exists.
I'll check my kids have this thing called like a RetroPie. So it's like an emulator, and it's got all the 80s and 90s like Nintendo and Sega games, and even like MS-DOS games and stuff, like Oregon Trails, and like stuff that I was playing in school.
If it doesn't have the Frankie Goes to Hollywood game, punish your children. Make them sleep outside.
Give them dysentery.
Yeah, throw the game away.
I brought Oregon Trail back into it.
Yeah, I know. Nice Oregon Trail thing. That'd be great if at the end of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, you have died from dysentery. Gonna happen. Britain. Oh my God.
All right, so recommendations time. I'd like to recommend, for those few people who still haven't heard these albums, the Talk album, Spirit of Eden, which, believe it or not, EMI sued the band for making an album that wasn't commercial enough.
Who? EMI.
EMI, yeah, they sued them, and then suddenly they weren't on EMI anymore. But they didn't win that lawsuit. EMI lost it, or it got thrown out of court. And then when they went to Polydor, their very last Talk album, a masterpiece called Laughing Stock. And those are my recommendations.
I would like to, I should have looked up the word, but like unrecommend something. I had like a $50 gift card for Amazon, and I was like, from my birthday, and normally I keep them until Christmas and use them to buy gifts for other people, but I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get something for myself. And I was looking around, I found this cool, like, just a digital like voice memo recorder kind of thing, because I always have these like weird ideas, or I start like doing this like weird, I'm not going to talk about that. And then so I was like, maybe I should record these things. And so I looked at, and the coolest looking one, I didn't even look at the specs or anything. I was like, no, that one looks cool. And it came in, and it's like really small, and it has a one of those, but nothing else. There's no volume. It's kind of like that. There's no volume. It's like
Basic.
It goes on, and then the other side is voice activated. It's really complicated to play it back, and it also has like a mini SD. I don't know. I don't recommend it.
Is it like a spy thing? You can like secretly record stuff?
I guess, because the manual was written, and it's ridiculous. I wish I had that for our user manual song challenge. But it reminded me of the watch camera that I had when I worked for that PI. It had the same kind of manual, so I think it is like a spy thing. But I don't need it to be. I just wanted to be like like an old tape recorder. But this is like,
Well, doesn't your phone do that though?
Yeah, my phone
is full all the time of things, and I always have to delete something. Just like my Gmails, always.
I use the notepad on my phone because when I have ideas.
But I also like, I don't want to have to like, if I'm driving, like open my phone and be like da 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 da. I just like this little thing. I was hoping it would be like something I just keep in my pocket, which clearly I can.
I can circuit bend it if you want.
What? Now I am.
I might buy it off you. Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to recommend is read instructions especially if you're working, because like I've been doing door dashing again because I'm still looking for a job. Although I'm not really looking for a job, but if one comes to me, I'll take it. But I'm working door dashing, and for the first time, I had to do like a grocery order, and I was like, oh, I haven't done one of these, but I'll do it. And then I went in and I was like, there's so many people in there. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to the self-checkout. And then it wasn't working. And I was like, oh. And then somehow I paid for it and I left. And then I was like, oh, it says don't use self-checkout. So then it got all screwed up. Yeah. So then I had to like contact the customer and I was like, we'll be right there. And I looked at what it was. It was like Pedialyte and like Tums and organic coconut water. I was like, is this person hungover or something? What's happening? It's not a baby. Pedialyte. So yeah, I recommend Pedialyte if you're hungover ever. Seriously, it hydrates you. But yeah, so read instructions on things. And you know, I had to talk to the tech support people through DoorDash, and I made some comments. She was like, "Oh, you have to read the instructions." I was like, "Yeah, I got told that in school a lot too, and I didn't."
Why can't you use self-checkout?
I don't know. I didn't really bother to.
Because you didn't read the instructions.
I think I speak for the entire band when I say, fucking Presbyterians. Fucking Presbyterians ruin
They
everything.
fired me.
Yeah. Fucking.
You got fired by DoorDash.
I got fired by Presbyterians.
Oh, by Presbyterians. Okay.
Last Christmas, got fired by Presbyterians.
Where are we going? That comment section is going to be awesome.
Let's see. So I'd like to recommend a couple of albums. Airplane Over the Sea. No, wait, not
and Radiohead's live.
Kid A is a great ad. And Jack, yeah. No, actually, I was struggling to find a recommendation, and I just looked over and I saw something. Always have some maracas handy.
I have castanets too. Not on me, but I do.
Actually, I have maracas and I have
Shaker?
shaker eggs.
Great shaker. Therapy man.
I use them all the time for home recording. So that's my recommendation this week.
I can never see maracas without thinking the Frank Zappa line. My balls feel like a pair of maracas. Oh God, I've probably got the gynococcanakas. All right, so I'm going to recommend, this is a first for me. I'm actually going to recommend an album based on just hearing one track. The new Boy Harsher album, The Runner, original soundtrack. Boy Harsher decided apparently to make a short horror movie, which I know is going to be good. Apparently, the two people from Boy Harsher had been involved in film and stuff like that. So I get the feeling this film is going to be good. I heard the first track off of this, and I really like it. People, if it's $8 just to reserve your digital download, your digital version of the album, it sounds worth it. It's going to be really, really good. But this is the important thing. A wise man, and this is the first time on the show we're going to say a wise man said, and it wasn't me, but a wise man once said, when Boy Harsher hits big, it's not going to be Boy Harsher. And I think we all know right now in LA or in New York, somebody in the entertainment industry is sitting down with their like niece or nephew and giving them a copy of Country Girl and a synth and saying, well, you can try this. I don't know how long we're going to have Boy Harsher before somebody comes along and tries to make the fake Jan Boy Harsher. But this is, while we have them, let's enjoy this. I think the film is going to be really good. Please go out there and get this. I've seen Boy Harsher live a bunch of times. Really excellent band, but I'm looking forward to the film and I'm looking forward to the soundtrack album. So that's the recommendation for your ears. For your eyes this week, it is, dun, 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 I hope we can see this. This is Dark History of Penn's Woods, Murder, Madness, Misadventure in Southeastern Pennsylvania by Jennifer L. Green. I took this on vacation with me. And it's weird because if you live in Southeast Pennsylvania, you realize that we have an attitude unlike anywhere else in the world. Salem had witches, had witch trials, because people in Salem like, old lady with a wart. Oh no, witch. And Southeastern PA, everybody's like, oh, you're a witch? That's interesting. You know, like what else you say? It's just really odd. It captures our attitude towards oddness. I want to thank my friend Janet for recommending this. She said it might be a good source of songs, and it is. It's more scholarly. Actually, it walks a good line between scholarly and salacious. So there's a lot of interesting historical information in here, but there's also like a lot of infanticide, cannibalism, natural disasters. It is a fun read. It's a fun read if you're up late at night, like I was, in a very, very old house that sits on what used to be the grounds of a Revolutionary War headquarters. And so I'm up late at night reading this. It's really, really good. And just to give you an idea, the example I always use when people talk about, Southeastern Pennsylvanians and our sort of rationalist attitude, my great-grandmother and my great-great-grandmother well, this is a story came down through the family. We're once in a horse and buggy riding past a graveyard, and a man came running through the graveyard in like a top hat and with these long legs, like leaping over the tombstones. And both my great grandmother and my great grandmother were impressed by his athleticism. Like, at no point did they say, "Oh, this is really weird." This was like a local version of Spring Heel Jack, just come out of nowhere. Yeah, and oh, is it? He must have practiced for so long. So that is just an example of. But I do heavily recommend. It's a very fun read. I just missed the author. Turn it right side up. This is for you Australians. This is what it looks like. But for the rest of you, it's a very fun read. And I just missed the author who was going around to a couple of libraries. I would have liked to have caught that. But I do recommend that. And maybe a little bit more for us folks from Southeastern PA, but some of you folks might enjoy it as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Relax.
It's so
Don't
cool.
do it when you drive up into the Hollywood Hills. Relax. when you want to do something witchy. Boom, 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 boom. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you right later.